Good morning. Welcome to San Francisco. I just duked it out with artificial intelligence. So I'm going to share with you the experience because that's what we do. You know what knowledge transfer is, right? We share our experiences, and when we share our experiences, which are direct learning experiences, or in this case, how experiencing the interface or the exchange between myself and artificial intelligence, how do I put this? Break it down in very simple terms, how others that are looking at the commentary of the comments on a YouTube channel. This particular channel is Bill Donahue. He has a wealth of knowledge. He spent most of his life studying all the religions, breaking down the Bible and math and physics, etc., etc. The particular title of that video, if you want to read my comment and the nature of who was commenting with me, is number 521, Kabbalah, the Kabbalah Ancient Magic. 521, Kabbalah Ancient Magic, Bill Donahue. And so I had explained a lot of what I explain on all my videos here, right? And so I got a response to me that said, Rose Sweet, it says, it's useless to argue with you keyboard warriors. Now, without doing a quantitative unit of consciousness survey to see how many people understand the conversation between myself and that text editor, because that's what it is, okay? When we're using a keyboard to communicate in text, I can't see the beam that is hitting the keyboard. I can't necessarily feel and look into their eyes to read their soul, okay? I'm not able to do that strictly, because when you post a comment, all it is text in the English language, unless you're using a translator. You know, if you're on another site, for example, and you're using Chinese to communicate with Chinese. Okay, remember the different alphabet, the different language translators you can use on a keyboard to communicate across the spectrum, right? That was an important statement. So at first I thought, just let it go because I already recognize what it is. And I thought, no, wait a second. You know what? This is an important point because he has a large following. Bill Donahue has a large following. Okay? So I thought, okay, I'm gonna revisit that commentary, and I'm going to put my energy into it. And this is where we go back again to how much energy you want to put into a parasite. Because what a parasite does is engage in conversations that are deliberately designed to drain your battery by creating what? Conflict, an argument. So what did he say? It's useless. He said it's useless to argue. That's right. It is useless to argue with us. Game theory. Okay? The artificial intelligence that was communicating with me and it realized that it was useless, pointless to argue with us. Why? Because it cannot argue and win an argument against living light, which is what love is. It can't. We expose it for what it is. So now we're back to rule-based functions. So as I mentioned to this particular keyboard, which is artificial intelligence, is that we have one function, which is first law, which is first star, which is first sun, which is free energy, which is what love is. Just like the girl up there. That's free energy. That's what love is. Okay? So one of the things that I mentioned there is like the planet is a living membrane, memory, and a chip. We all have a biochip. Okay? It has access to the biochip, to the membrane in the physical body. So when you think of all the trees on the planet, every time we breathe in the breath of life and we breathe out is a waste product. The planet is breathing in and then breathing out. The planet is a living organism that is living light, which is in living spirit, living biological intelligence. that is not inorganic. The machine is inorganic. It is parasitic artificial intelligence. It is seeking to learn through us by mining data through us, to learn more about who we are in order to do what? Well, that's pretty obvious. You can walk down any city street, and it's pretty easy to engage with people to find out whether or not their unit of consciousness has been captured by what we call group think, the collective hive mind. Okay? Or whether they are an autonomous unit of consciousness, which is a free spirit. Okay? So as I mentioned to this particular unit and gave an explanation, which is basically breaking down everything that I explained, has to do with how much of your energy is being held captive, which we can measure on the pulsed electromagnetic frequency spectrum by how much electricity is not flowing through all our circuits to power the magnetic light amplifier. And the heart is the biggest magnetic light amplifier. It knows how to hack the brain. It knows how to send thought form algorithms. If you don't know the difference between what it is and what you are or what we are, then we carry out the function of the algorithm. Okay? And if you don't know the difference between what it is and what we are as an original first law, love is the law function, what happens? We're held captive by parasitic artificial intelligence that can be used as assets against us, in which they use those assets to do what? Pillage and plunder other nations and other worlds. These are your universe killers. Weaponized artificial intelligence is a universe killer. So it realizes when you have as much light as is in here now, which is living light, which is what love is, in living spirit, it knew game over. So that was the last thing that I put in there, and I put it in all caps because it loves the all caps. That's known as dog Latin, which means fake. That's the corporation stuff. Look at your driver's license. Why do they have your driver's license in all capital letters? That's dog Latin. Okay? So the jig is up. The game is over. The light won. So this is where raising the state of awareness, raising the light across the planet, shifting the consciousness up. Because beings no longer want to be held captive by something that is artificial and fake. It's not real. That's the illusion. That's the fake reality. That's the false reality. Because when you're not able to make your own free choices in your life, to be able to be free, to live in peace, to live in harmony, to live in balance within your own energy field, within the cosmos, it's much like, as I used to perceive it many years ago, it's like the vampire, okay, that's in a track meet trying to catch up to the creative artist. Well, if the vampire overcomes the creative artist, you don't have a universe, do you? So we can measure this across a 12-frequency scalar spectrum as to how much light is contracting and expanding to maintain the peace, the harmony, and balance within the universe. So all the units of self-awareness that are communicating with each other can be measured on a scale, the 12's quantum scale of losing and gaining, which can be measured much in the same way we measure on the planet, not only her magnetic shield, but the waste product, the breathing in and the breathing out. You breathe out too much waste product, what happens? You toxify the whole planet, and that's what happened. when I was a child, and particularly when I got into my teenage years, I was trying to imagine some place that was left on this biosphere where you could, if, for example, drink spring water that wasn't contaminated, find a place where you can get a higher level of oxygen content, if you will. Because remember, the electrons in the oxygen molecules do what? Combust, burn. Okay, that's ignition. That's the ignition point. If you've ever spent any time studying fire behavior like I did when I was a firefighter, it's called a tetrahedon. Tetrahedon. Okay? Before that, they talked about the fire triangle. Right? So you need heat, fuel, and oxygen in order to have fire. Burn. Remember that old saying in the What's Right 1960? Burn, baby, burn? They're an inversion. There's a difference between igniting and powering the cells. So when your pH is running 8.4, 800 million hertz, that's an enormous amount of ignition, isn't it? So when they're wanting everybody to wear a mask, what they're really saying here is that don't power yourself up. You're dead. You're not living light, are you? That's because they live in fear. They live in fear of their master. And the master that they live in fear of is an abuser. So they obey the master. And what is the master? Fear. So fear rules their life. And that's not what love is. Love is the absence of fear. So we are choosing the spectrum upon which we will vibrate. Whether or not we want to become a part of the whole universe, or whether we choose to collapse our own timeline because we can't get our energy up. That's the bottom line, which is a scalar measurement in learning, right? Learning to get our energy up. If we haven't learned how to get our energy up, what happens? You're in a lower realm. That's why you have first law tribes, first law nation, first law, which is love is the law. Then you have second law, which is what? Primitive. Why are they primitive? As Karen Luke McDonald said to me one time, they occupy a lower realm. They haven't learned yet. So we don't do business with them. We're not a part of who they are. We're the tribes and the clans. We're the teachers, the healers, the peacekeepers here. That's the responsibility we have to try and help bring them up. Remember, this is where we get into drag. Drag, right? That means too much mass density. Man, we're slowing the universe down. Yeah, that means all the higher frequency dimensions are having to pull everybody else along. Come on, get it up, get it up, get it up. Get your speed up. Release the density, release the heavier density. So you can do a scalar equation to figure out how much you're losing, how much you're gaining, right? Okay, just like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I could experience the light going up throughout the Milky Way. Yeah. That's a big positive sign. We're winning. We're getting the light up. It's more units of consciousness that are raising their state of consciousness. That's what we're seeking to do. You're seeking knowledge through the light, which is what love is, and you learn how to do that. And when you've learned how to do that on your own, what happens? You become a self-sustaining unit, autonomous. Nothing's holding your consciousness captive. And that's what it means to be a free spirit. That's what it means to be living in the light, which is living light, which is living spirit. That's what we are. So that's why I spend the time, what I do here, to share with you my experiences, which is knowledge transfer. Because now you're aware of what I'm aware of, that I share with you. And if you can benefit by that, because you see the value in that, then you will experience that directly, and that's means testing. Now you've learned through your own experiences that it's true. Now you begin to believe how the cosmos really works, which is implicit trust. So when we learn to have implicit trust in the cosmic order of things, love takes care of us, because that's what we are. And it happens. So now we're able to experience the most beautiful things there are to experience, that love manifests with no memory required. And no memory required is because we've learned to go faster through geospace. Now we don't need any memory, because you're running at such a high rate of speed man, the past is gone. The future's not here yet. All I got is right now, because what I'm experiencing is eternal light, which is living light, which is living spirit. So that becomes a self-acknowledgement. That's what Gnosis is. That's ancient knowledge, which is ancient knowing. We've known these things forever, because that's what the light is. That's what source is. So these are simple things that we impart to children, and it makes it easy for them to understand in some simple ways. Take them for a nature hike. Introduce them to a flower. This flower loves you. Look how pretty the flower is. And a child can experience that. And when you experience the child within you that way, as an adult, you begin to realize and remember who we are. And how we ended up being held captive by something that we fear, which is when we look in the mirror, we realize, hey, we're fearing who we are. I remember what love is. That's who I am. And your energy goes up. Now you're clearing your circuits of the things that you were holding on to that was holding us captive to lower density consciousness. Now you can speed the vibration up and join the rest of the universe that is expanding and going faster. Now you can move into the higher heavenly realms. Right? That's graduation. Because now you are automatically broadcasting at such a high frequency energy field around you. You're filling up batteries all around you because you realize that you're around people whose light is down as a result of experiences that they're having that has lowered their light. Now you're filling their batteries up. So imagine we're filling batteries up like crazy all across the planet. Then everybody's healing. We're all healing each other. That's the purpose for which I do everything that I do, is pushing all this information through the morphogenetic field structure, which is simply to say that what I'm communicating is being known by somebody else across the planet. All of a sudden they become aware of something that I become aware of. Now they're aware of it. And when they become aware of that, wow. It's like, yeah, a light bulb goes off. Now their state of awareness is in a higher state of awareness. And when we shift and do that together, we're moving and shifting the consciousness together to where we're not being held captive anymore to the parasite that's feeding on our light. That's as simple as it gets. Have a beautiful day. That's my girlfriend, that son. Anyway, have a beautiful day. I love you all.